Hi, it's Lindsay bringing you a tutorial on setting up a token in the D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder framework for map tools. Here I've launched map tools and opened the framework, and I can see that I'm set up for Pathfinder. And I'm just dragging a generic token onto the map. And over here I have the Paizo PRD opened up to an NPC. This is it looks like 8th level ranger. And I'm copying that to the clipboard. And over here I have the token selected, and I'm doing Pathfinder stat block to token. This is in the campaign window where all these campaign macros are. And I'm going to paste that content into this field here. And that'll do a quick and dirty setup of this token. And I can now see that I'm a swamp walker, and this is the quick looking stat sheet. And there's some imperfections in here, so I'm going to want to go in and edit, but it gets me up and running pretty quickly with something basic. And we can see that it put the information here into the GM notes of the token as well. So I'm going to open up the character sheet now for this token, and I'm going to dock that over here so that I can see it all pretty. And I can see that this is looking a whole lot like a character sheet that I want to work with. I'm going to go through, and the diamonds on the sheet are links that bring up things that are editable. So under main, I'm going to edit some of my core things. I'm going to edit what class am I? Well, I happen to be, and this is just text information. My 9th level ranger. And what are my senses? It seems that I have low light vision. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. So I have low light vision. If I had dark vision, I'd set the range like 60. And then here's some of the core information. How many hit dice do I have? What are my statistics? What physical size am I? What are my hit points without constitution? Okay, so you're going to see a difference. This says 81, this says 63. Because your constitution can change, that's going to affect your overall hit points. So we want your base hit points, your base attack bonus, the reach. Here's some quick information, things that I might want to remember. Some of this stuff I probably don't need to have in here. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out, making the sheet a little bit cleaner on the front page. There's some favorite terrain, and I know that I have elf blood. I'm an elf. Saving throws are very much like hit points. These are your base saves. Don't include your dex, your charisma, or anything like that. Sorry. Constitution, dex, and wisdom. Don't include those bonuses. However, if you have miscellaneous saving throws, it's good to put notes in here, because then when you make the save, it'll remind you. If you're a cleric, you'd set up your cleric turning, and we allow some healing surges in some of our home campaigns. On this tab, we put base resistances, like if I was a barbarian and had damage reduction. If I had some core fire resistance or something, I'd put that in here. And next I can do my what languages I know. I know Common and Elven. Human. Oh, no, I'm not. I'm a half-elf. Humanoid, elf, and human. And if I want to help my game master out, looks like I'm chaotic evil in this situation, I could mark off chaos and evil as well. Although normally player characters don't radiate chaos, and they're not of the chaotic, but that's just helpful information. The feats on this tab are feats that actively change various roles and mechanics within the framework. This is not a complete listing of all feats. These are feats that would activate things. and it was based on various. These can also be abilities like uncanny dodge, which is a class feature, or evasion. So this is various elements that affect rolls in the framework. And I've now made some changes. Those changes are reported to the game master, and the token has been updated with those changes. As we can see, just looking at the character sheet itself, you see lots of links and things. Those are, I'll have another tutorial on just generally using. This is setting up. But just as a quickie, I want to make a strength check. I click on strength. It rolls a strength check. Now, the next thing I want to double check is what is my movement speed. There's my base speed is 30. I don't have any flight or anything like that. So this looks good to go, although I'm going to just double check my feats over here. Do I run? If I had run, I might make a comment that I had run here, but I don't. So we'll just not do that. The encumbered, this is, I'm carrying my 3 dead companions out of the forest with me, and so that would encumber me, and that will actively change my speed within the framework. But we aren't doing that yet, so we're okay. Now I want to configure my weapons, and as I look at my different weapons, it looks to me like this didn't quite capture all the weapons. In fact, and I think the reason is there wasn't a space between ranged and +1, and so the parser didn't manage to capture the longbow. But it did manage to capture our spike chain, and we're going to go ahead and edit our spike chain just to see. It is a medium-sized weapon. We use it in our primary. It's manufactured, which means we get our decaying attacks -5 per extra attack once our base attack hits 6. We see it's a masterwork spike chain. So masterwork, we're going to get +1 to hit. I'm getting rid of this +0. It does 2d4. It's not magic, so we don't get any pluses on damage. Our multiplier is a basic on a basic ×2 on a 20 is when we get a critical. It's not flaming. It is a melee weapon. This is a melee bow crossbow thrown. Fairly obvious. I don't know if a masterwork spike chain is finessable or not, but if it were, I would check here. And I think I use it two-handed, don't I? I'm going to guess that's the case here because I see a +6 bonus on damage here, and this person has an 18 strength, which is normally +4, but two-handed would be +6. So I'm wielding this one weapon. I'm wielding it two-handed, and I really don't have range increments. And over here we have some variant things. If I was setting up like a spell that used wisdom to attack and intelligence to damage or something like that, or if I had something that was both flaming and acid, I could put the acid damage over here, adding on to the flaming. So I did I guess maybe a tweak to that weapon, but then the next weapon I need is my bow, because clearly I'm a ranger and good with my bow. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my +1 composite longbow. And it's medium sized. It is manufactured as well. It gets me +1 to hit. But do I have some feats that come into this? Like weapon focus, composite longbow. So that's going to add another +1. So I've got the +1 for the weapon and the +1 for the weapon focus. And I know that my longbow does 1d8. And it's magic, so it's getting 1 extra damage. And it does triple damage on a 19 or 20. Oh. And why is that? Because we have improved critical with the composite longbow. And then it's a bow. And what's the range increment on a composite longbow? We can look that up, but we're going to go ahead and, for now, guess that the range increment is 120. And do I get any strength with this? Is this a strength bow? I don't see it as a strength bow. So in fact, I get no strength bonus with this. And single weapon. This is more melee calculated, but we still need to configure these. And I think that that's looking pretty good. So now, in my weapons, I've added in my +1 composite longbow. I can double check my skills. This macro that ran that populated the skills often sort of jumbles things together. It doesn't set the class bonuses, and just sort of says, hey, I'm going to put everything into ranks, which isn't always correct. So climb of 12, so 8 and 4 is 12. Is that a class skill? You'd have to look that up for Ranger. And in fact, in this case, the climb is a class skill for Rangers. And since the skill over here is showing as 12, I know that I actually have only put 5 ranks into climb, because 5 and 4 is 9, and class is 10, 11, 12 in Pathfinder. So I could come through and tweak these. I do see that I have knowledge nature, and it did not set that up for me here. So I would come down, I would add a skill. I'm going to add a 1 knowledge skill. This is a bit slow to edit, but you tend to not edit your skills often, so I bear with that. Knowledge nature. And what did it say? It says I have 12 ranks, but this is a class skill. And I'm a 9th level ranger and put it all in. I think that I also saw tracking. So my survival I believe I get plus something on tracking. And that is, everyone's saying, look, it's right there under the special qualities. Swift tracker, track +4. So I might want to make a note under survival here of track +4. So I want to make a survival check. I'll know, and I'm tracking, I'll know that it should be 4 higher. So I'm not going to go through and edit every single one of these, but you can see where you can get all of your skills correctly configured. And so now if I'm doing survival, I'm getting a note, track +4. Oh, so I better give myself a 4 because I'm doing a tracking. And I make my roll. And there it is. And I can see that the roll has been made. So we've covered our setting up of skills, the main configuration, our speed, and our weapons at a brief high level. Now we also need to equip some gear. And right now I can see where this is just showing what the framework is seeing for statistics, but the actual gear that is equipped is that generated a baseline armor and baseline natural armor modifications to the token. Instead, we need to create this gear, and here I'm going to come over to the campaign macros. I'm going to do edit character, and I'm going to clear all mods. This just sort of wipes all of the various little temporary changes to the token. And then I'm going to edit items. And these items are things that I'm wearing, like a ring of protection, chainmail, etc. And so baseline armor, I'm going to edit that. And I can see that I'm actually wearing, what am I wearing here? +1 studded leather armor. And so I'm going to say +1. And that seems to be a visible thing, and it's armor. And so I'm going to make a little note in the note area. And then I have to look up some of the statistics about studded leather. I know that studded leather has an armor check penalty of 1. However, this is magic studded leather, which reduces the armor check penalty, so I have no armor check penalty. I have a maximum dexterity bonus while wearing studded leather armor of 5. And studded leather armor does not encumber me. And then I'm going to set up the armor class bonuses. Studded leather armor gives me armor class of 3, but then it also has an enhancement modifier of 1. And I'm going to put that in armor category. And so now I can see that I've created studded leather armor. And if I come back to my sheet and I go to equip things, I now have these were the old elements, which are unequipped, and I can now equip my +1 studded leather armor. So if I'm taking things on and off, this is where I would do it. And if I look, here's my armor class, and there's a breakdown of my armor class, and I can see that it is 3 points of armor and 1 point of armor mod, getting me to armor class 15. And we want to see why we're armor class 19 here. And that is because why? Well, that's because we haven't finished. We actually have a +1 ring of protection, and we have 3 points of natural armor. So we have more items to edit. Well, it's set up a baseline natural, so I'm going to go ahead and edit that and see if that looks useful. I'm going to put that under my armor category. And as I come down to natural armor, there's 3 points. This one looks pretty good, so I'm going to go ahead and go with him. And that means my baseline armor is no longer needed, so I'm going to delete him. But I'm going to add a new one, and that's going to be a ring of protection. And a ring of protection gives me 1 deflection. So I'm going to come on down here to my deflection modifications. And there's my 1. Ring of protection +1. And I'm going to put that under rings. Okay, so I've created that item. And now back on my character sheet, I can now equip my natural armor. Yeah, it's a little funky you're equipping your natural armor, but it's how I calculate various elements. Like if you've got a boosting spell that it boosted your natural armor, you need to know how that worked with whatever natural armor you had. And so these pieces of armor you wear also are considered like modifications to the token or to the character, just like a bull strength is a modification to it. But now that I turn all on, I'm going to come back here to the main. I can now see that I've got my studded leather armor on, I've got my natural armor, I've got my ring of protection, and my armor class is actually 19. So I've now configured my armor, my speed, my weapons. I might want to do some more feat editing. I just realized this doesn't have my new feats in it. So I have to come out here to campaign, edit character, feats. And this is strictly a checklist. So it's just to give a text list of what are the feats the token has. But it also then will cross-check the feats that are relevant to the token that change things in the framework, like point blank shot, vital strike. Those are elements. So this is the list that it's seeing, and this is not the cleanest thing in the world, but you basically come down through here and you check the ones that are active. So you can see vital strike is checked. And when you hit save, it then comes up, and these are the various feats that have some further descriptor, like improved critical. I can improve critical with one type of weapon. I get skill focus with stealth. Ah, well, that's interesting. Skill focus with stealth. I'm going to go back and now and edit my skills, because my stealth actually has a skill focus, which is a feat bonus of 3. So notice that it lumped everything into one number, which will work. But if I want to have things broken down, I can say 9 ranks for my level, 3 ranks for my feat, 3 ranks for the class. And somehow the math doesn't work. Oh, yes, it does. 15. Okay. So the same number is coming out, but now we've broken out where the number comes from. Still a 16, but I can see where the different elements are coming from. So those are the elements for setting up the token, for working with the framework. And then there's some other people have added some extra tools. And I can see that I actually get some spells as a ranger. So I want to track spells in the framework. There's a couple of folks, Neilfax and Rathgon have a spell manager, as well as Plothos. And I'm going to go ahead with you pick which spell manager you want to use. And Plothos is going to come up here. So I picked that. And I now set up the spells. And I am a 9th level ranger. So I'm Pathfinder, core ranger. Say OK. And now I'm 9th level. OK. Ooh, and I have class options. So it looks like this person has picked point blank shot. And I don't know. And rapid shot. And I believe rangers do not learn spells. They just select spells. But this came up and has 0 of 3 slots remaining because I have not rested. So I'm going to, within the spell manager, I've done a rest, which enables the spells to be picked. And so now I'm picking my spells for the day. And it looks to me like I like bark skin. Oh no, I like pass without trace and speak with animals. Twice. And at 2nd level, I seem to like in and snare. And then in here, if I want to cast, it's another window. So often I'll put these off to the side. So I've docked them off to the side so that when I want to cast, I can bring up my casting menu. And it casts. And this probably also has some of the special abilities into it. I come to a ranger. Yes. Here's some favorite enemies, some favorite terrain. It says I should gain the endurance feat. Well, it's what I chose. So that's spell menu. You can check out in the forums. I'm not directly supporting that. It's just in the framework and people are finding it useful. Similarly, you may want to track some inventory. And so here's an inventory window, which I also often dock off to the side. So now I can give this is just lists of equipment. So I can see that I have 20 arrows. And I have, appears to be 5 + 1 human being arrows. None of this does any statistic or role modifying elements within the framework. It's purely just a list so that you can keep track of what stuff you have. So there's my token. I have a character sheet that is functional within the framework. I can have my spell menus. and I can have, be able to cast spells, and I can track my inventory. And this is a reasonably well set up token now. If I look at some of the details on the token, I see it's configured the low light vision from earlier. And that is that.